Hey everybody, and welcome to I Can't Believe It's Not News, your favorite podcast about fake news. Introducing, in this corner, Kelly!
Woohoo! Hooray! And in the other corner, it's Beth.
That was weird.
I mean, a little.
Yeah. We'll just go back to our regularly scheduled introductions next week.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Next time.
Yeah. Kelly.
Yes, ma'am.
We had some distressing, amazing, kind of awkward news come out this week.
We did. It turns out our unprecedented, smoky-eyed press secretary has decided to step down, possibly to take a turn at her own round of politics. Possibly.
It begs the question, though, when you already work in hell, are you stepping down or are you stepping up?
I mean, it seems like a sideways promotion to me.
Yeah, so Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who has been spreading propaganda and lies on behalf of President Trump for 2 years now as the press secretary, but has been working for him for 3.5.
Right.
Has decided to leave the White House and be still my beating heart. We decided, oh my gosh, we need to give her a send-off.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite impressive that she is one of the people who is leaving without hateful rhetoric toward Trump. Like, it's normally a you're fired situation because he does think it's a reality show. But realistically, I mean, since she hasn't had a press conference in 100 days, I mean, what could have gone wrong? It's not as though she was doing that job, so.
Well, Kelly, here's the thing. When her lips aren't moving and words aren't coming out of her mouth, she's not technically lying to us. So,
that's true.
By not having press conferences, she was not lying directly to the public.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure she was at some point somewhere. Still directly lying to us.
Oh, Lord. Okay. So I'm going to say one nice thing about her.
All right.
Before we get into our 3 favorite Sarah Huckabee Sanders lies. We each have 3 that we've pulled.
Yes.
She was the first woman press secretary with kids to be the press secretary for the U.S. So that is a milestone in itself. She was the first mother.
All right.
I'm going to give her props for being a mother and doing a very, very tough job.
I mean,
that's just a fact. She is a mother.
It's true.
And she was doing a very demanding job. And props for that.
Sure. And I'm sure her getting that job had nothing to do with who her family is.
So in doing research for this, I've read some articles about how she started working for Trump. And apparently, so her dad, Mike Huckabee, had withdrawn from the primary.
Right.
And he went and met with Trump with her. And she was like basically his campaign manager. She was her dad's campaign manager and had run previous campaigns for him and was always very involved with his politics. And they sat down. And Mike Huckabee was in the process of basically getting a new pundit job with Fox News. And so he couldn't publicly endorse Trump. So he said, I can't endorse you, but what you can do is hire my daughter. And that's better than my endorsement. Mm-hmm. And that's when Sarah Huckabee Sanders started working for Trump. So
that's even grosser than I would have thought. But okay.
You know what's even grosser than I thought? I did some Google searches and it pops up and it very helpfully shows you like people who are connected to that person that you're searching about.
Yeah.
So I had never really looked into her family. I mean, obviously I knew who Mike Huckabee was and that was her father, but she has these 2 brothers. Have you ever seen a picture of her brothers?
Oh, I've seen a picture of the whole family.
Okay. Her brothers look like, okay, their names are John, Mark, and David. Both of their pictures, when you Google, if you just even Google like Sarah Huckabee Sanders brothers, what it pulls up, it looks like mugshots for sure. And I think one of them probably is a mugshot. There is, one of them is like the other one, John Mark, he's supposedly an actor, but he's never really been anything. But I was like, oh, when I saw I was like, I didn't know that. And I see she is she's the good daughter.
And with that, do you want to get into some of the lies that she's been telling the American people?
Yeah. So actually, when we started researching for, researching her lies and her moments, I was like, wait a second. We did a whole episode about a lie that she told. It wasn't really a lie. It was propaganda, really.
Which one was this?
So this was episode 7.
Okay.
Which I think honestly is one of my favorite named episodes. We called it CNN Lies and Videotape. Because if you remember way back, this was back in July of 2017 that we originally aired this episode. CNN had just made a mistake. So they had fired 3 people over an article that they ended up retracting.
Mm-hmm.
And Project Veritas and James O'Keefe had done this like sting on CNN, and without their knowledge had recorded them and then edited and released these videos. And Sarah Huckabee Sanders told the world that they should watch this video that may or may not be correct by Project Veritas, because she, and it was this 2-minute clip. It's still on YouTube. I had to find a different link. The one that is actually on our blog is no longer supported, but I found a link to a Washington Post article where you can still see it. And it's really amazing because in this 2 minutes, she talks about like how Trump is being hit all the time with all of this fake news.
Right.
And how CNN is constantly making mistakes and lying with their reporting. And how this, quote, Russia Trump hoax has been going on for a year now with no credible, outcome. And that this is just ridiculous. Basically, just painting Trump as this victim. And then she said this. She said, if the media can't be trusted to report the news, then that's a dangerous place for America. And she talks about how she thinks that basically this is all pointed towards CNN. She doesn't say CNN. She says that network.
Right. But she's always had it in for, they've all always had it in for CNN, but she in particular has been as harsh as Trump.
Yes.
On CNN.
But she says she talks about how that this is just to spike ratings, and how she references these outlets using unnamed sources or no sources at all. And then she does a little boohoo about how Trump's successes are not being covered due to the Russia hoax being covered day in and day out.
Oh my God.
Now, this was the first time that, I remember being horrified that the press secretary for the president of the United States was basically attacking the media and attacking CNN for retracting his story and taking action. And we had talked about this, about like journalistic standards, like mistakes will happen in journalism. And that's why you have editorial standards. That's why you have these checks and balances with actual journalism and actual news sources.
That's right.
And that does not make CNN fake news. What strikes me is we just did all this review of like Fox News. And that's exactly how they work, is they will tell you whatever you want to hear to spike ratings.
Right.
With no sources at all, because they're not actually doing journalism. They're just telling you their opinion. So I feel like this is the blueprint for like how she went about her business from there on out. Because this was really one of the first times. This was back, it was back pretty early to when she started,
Yeah, this was towards the beginning of, it was after Didn't we have Scaramucci in there for
Yes,
a
for
solid
9 days.
Yeah.
9 days,
Was
yeah.
it 9 days?
I
Oh.
think so, yeah.
We had him for one Scaramucci. And then before him, it was, why am I blanking on his name? What is his
Sean
name?
Spicer.
Oh, yes, he of the Shrubs.
Yes. I'm laughing so hard because I'm thinking that actually could be like a Scaramucci could refer to 9 days in the future. And like
Yeah.
in like 100 years, people would be like, oh yeah, it's a Scaramucci away. And somebody's gonna be like, do you know why it's called that? There used to be this press secretary named Anthony Scaramucci. And they'd be like, oh, I never thought of that. It just, a Scaramucci means 9 days.
Right.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So do you want to take turns and I'll give you one of mine and we can make this a back and forth and it can be fun.
Do it.
Okay. So one of the moments I found in my top 3 was an amazing statement that Sarah made that says the president in no way, form, or fashion has ever promoted or encouraged violence.
Wow.
So just off the bat, this is an insane lie.
Yes.
I made a joke that Trump has called for more violence than most WWE promoters.
Yes.
He has called for his supporters to hit protesters. Remember, he said, if you see someone getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously? Just knock the hell. I promise I'll pay you for the legal fees. And that was back in 2016 when he was still running for office.
That's like a quote from him. That's that's an actual quote.
That's an actual quote. He also encouraged police officers, don't be too nice when making arrests, because we all know that the issue right now with police is they're being so overly cautious when they're making arrests. That's the issue.
Right.
He shared a doctored video of himself beating up the CNN logo from an old WWE clip that he actually was in.
Yes.
He paid for a full-page ad calling for the return of the death penalty for the Central Park Five. He also very brazenly, right after it happened, congratulated the Montana rep Greg Gianforte after he assaulted a reporter.
Yes.
And I will strive to never forget that he called people in Charlottesville very fine people on both sides after several people were injured and one was killed for protesting against an alt-right rally.
Yes.
And I just think he's a bully and she's a coward for sticking up for such a bully and making up this goddamn lie.
I mean, it's such a weird statement too, because, I've never promoted or encouraged violence, I don't think, but I have lost my shit sometimes and I have said things in anger and I've, to make that statement of in no way, form, or fashion, no, he's not Mother Teresa.
Yeah. You find this a lot with her and with all liars, I think, where they talk in these absolutes of, no, we've never done this ever in our lives. And it's sort of this blanket statement that, okay, well, that's obviously got to be false. Because at some point, everybody does something.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. That was yes. Oh, man. She's so great. I'm going to really miss her.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about what comes next, but,
I am too. And honestly, so I read this really great article in the New Yorker, and it's called "Is Sarah Huckabee Sanders the Future of the Republican Party?" by Paige Williams, and it was published just June 17th of 2019. And it kind of goes through basically her tenure there. And one of the things that's really interesting is that apparently behind the scenes, the reporters really like her because she does try to get them answers and she works with them.
I don't think Jim Acosta likes her.
Yeah, I don't think that Jim Acosta likes her, but that's also what we see on TV. What we don't see is their relationship behind the scenes. So what it was saying is basically that they're a little nervous about who's going to come next, because as much as she lies on screen, behind the scenes, she does work with them and tries to get them answers. And I was really kind of shocked by that, in that this has become the standard, is that they're willing to put up with the fact that she lies to them on screen, because at least behind the scenes, she's doing some work that's helping them get the answers that they need and things like that. And it's like, when I look back on that episode that we did for Project Veritas and how troubled we felt over these statements by the press secretary, and how troubled we felt over the statements by Sean Spicer, that he had made.
Right.
That, it just was like, holy crap, like our president is directing his press secretaries to lie to the public. And that's propaganda, right? So
That's right.
There's this really scary shift in how we're being talked to as Americans by this president. And it seems like as time has gone on, people have gotten into this is the way it is, so we have to make the best of it. And it's almost like the feeling that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is the best devil available at the moment.
Oh God, I hope not.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So they're scared too about who's going to come after her.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I'd push back on that a lot. She doesn't, if she's behind the scenes getting them answers, what is she getting them answers on? Because they're still lying to us.
Right.
There's never been a moment where they've said, yes, Russia has interfered with our election. Yes, we really should be worried about what Russia is doing with our electrical grid. Yes, there has been some shit going down that we need to address, that is going down with, whether it's the mass shootings, or if it's the white supremacist marches, or if it's just Iran, or what's going on in Venezuela. Like, I don't see a place where I'm like, yes, I really feel like behind the scenes they're getting answers. I don't feel that way. So right. I don't, there are definitely people who have had some access. Maggie Haberman gets access more than she should, but she's turned into a clown. So I don't really care. And then, you have like the George Stephanopoulos who just got the 30 hours, which just shows you that anyone, if you talk to him long enough, he will incriminate himself, which is probably, to me, that's one of the reasons I would have left as a press secretary, is that you can't spin all the lies that he puts out there.
Yeah.
And he's destroying the country. So the fact that you can lie and stand up and spin his lies and not address the fact that he's destroying our fucking country and every norm that we had and every foreign policy that we had, he's destroying. He's making us a joke in the eyes of the world. People can't trust the United States anymore. Like, all of that, she is partially complicit in. And I don't care if they like her. It's not about liking her, Right. The fact that she's likable has probably made her more dangerous.
Yeah. It's harder to go against somebody that you like.
That's right.
So the reason I was bringing that up is because one of the other things that the New Yorker says is that basically Sarah Huckabee Sanders has some values, and her values are that she won't work for somebody who she doesn't believe in. So the fact that she's working for Trump means that she's believing in what he's trying to do. And that's part of the reason why Father Huckabee had told Trump that hiring Sanders would be much better than his endorsement, because she only will work for somebody that she believes in.
Yeah.
And so she believes in him so much that she said that countless FBI agents thanked President Trump for firing Comey because they had lost confidence in him. Now, this was a pretty bold statement at the time. So Jim Comey had just been fired as the FBI director, and there was obviously a lot of shock and dismay and pushback about that. And she came out and said this, that, yeah, the FBI had lost confidence in him and that all these people were calling and telling them, that thank you.
Right. And remember, he didn't even do it in person. Remember, he was told like during a speech and he thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
He was speaking in front of a bunch of FBI agents, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought that they were playing a joke on him.
So a couple people were interested in this statement, and one of them being Special Counsel Robert Mueller. They interviewed her about it. And she admitted that that claim wasn't founded on anything. And hey, Sarah, that sounds like no source at all.
Right.
Which is what you were complaining about before, is citing things without a source. She said it was made in the heat of the moment and just not founded on anything. So basically she just made that up in order to have people stop asking her questions.
Right. Well, and the thing is that it's not like she admitted it the next day. She admitted it when she had to go under oath in front of Mueller and his team.
Right.
That's where this lie has come. That's how we know about this. It just came out when the Mueller report came out. Oh no, she lied about that. And I think she said something like, I said it in the heat of the moment or something like that, which is, that's how we all get in so much trouble, is we're all like, yeah, no, everyone was asking me to do it.
Right.
Everyone was saying we should do this. We should do this. And so, I just lied and said everybody was saying it because, there were people around me saying it.
So she said this on May 11th, 2018. And when a reporter had pushed her back on the claim, she responded, between email, text messages, absolutely. That it was like countless people calling in. And he asked her to provide a number of the FBI employees. And Sanders said, look, we're not going to get into a numbers game. I mean, I've heard from a large number of individuals that work at the FBI, and they said they're very happy with the president's decision. But then the Mueller report said Sanders explained her claim of countless FBI employees reaching out to the White House as a slip of the tongue in her conversation with the special counsel. And then on GMA, she told George Stephanopoulos that the countless part of the claim was an exaggeration and really only a few agents had called to thank the president. And even he pushed back on her, pointing back that the report had said that wasn't based on anything. And she said, if you look at what's in quotations from me, it's that it was in the heat of the moment, meaning it wasn't a scripted talking point, Sanders said. And she said, I'm sorry that I wasn't a robot like the Democrat Party.
Yeah, that's what I always think about with the Democratic Party, is we're just a bunch of robots.
Right.
We all just fall in line. That's exactly what I think as I look at 20 people on stage, is that we've all just fallen in line.
Yeah. He also pointed out that Sanders had continued to use that verbiage again and again. It wasn't just at that one point where she said it.
Right. The countless FBI agents.
Yeah.
Said over and over again.
He said you repeated it on separate days, on separate occasions, and this was not the only instance the special counsel reported. So she's definitely backpedaling on that with saying that it was a slip of the tongue, because it's a slip of a tongue if you say it once.
Right.
It's not a slip of a tongue if it's a lie that you continually repeat over and over again in order to help this person who apparently, I mean, it just reminds me of like Mitch McConnell or Lindsey Graham. Like, they'll do anything to get their way because I'll say it this way. I think that they believe in what they're doing. And they're willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And it's not that I don't believe in people doing whatever it takes, but there's a point where when something's illegal or you're lying, you're making stuff up, I mean, there's a difference between I'm going to do whatever it takes to better myself. I'm going to go to night school. I'm going to work 3 jobs. I'm going to do whatever it takes I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to go rob a bank so that I can pay for school.
Right.
Big difference, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like this route has gone the robbing the bank route.
Oh, no. I feel like this route is I'm just going to print off a diploma on my printer
Oh,
route.
that's true. Yeah, then they don't even have to go to the school. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not robbing banks because at this point they're like, but we could just print out a diploma and then
Right.
everyone will just believe that we went to school. And if anyone catches us, we'll just be like, but I didn't deserve to have all that student debt and I went to the school of hard knocks instead. And there's just bullshit. And yeah, I mean, they're just all a bunch of liars. And the bigger the liar, the more power they seem to have right now.
I'm going to tell you something because I know that you have never been on Tinder and I have.
Okay.
The School of Hard Knocks is a thing that people put on their Tinder profile.
Oh yeah, they do it all over
time.
Facebook too.
Yeah,
as soon as I see it, I'm like, oh well, this person's not to be trusted.
I know.
As soon as I see it.
That's when you're like, swipe left.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna friend you. Thanks.
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks. Anyway. All right. So what is your second one?
So my second one has to do with something that hit close to home last year, and we've had an episode on this. We've had an episode about sexual harassment of women. And of course, Trump has had multiple allegations of women coming out and saying, he's touched me. His ex-wife has said he raped her. There's a lot of allegations. And Sarah Huckabee Sanders was asked about the most recent claim back in December of 2017. And she said the people of this country at a decisive election supported President Trump, and we feel like these allegations have been answered through that process. So apparently we don't go to court anymore. We can just have an election. And then obviously you're found not guilty if you become president. Is that what that means? It sounds like they're saying that that's what that means. And I find that kind of gross because that's like saying, well, Brett Kavanaugh didn't do anything. Look, he's in the Supreme Court. But I would point out that there's 23 separate women who have come forward since 1970s to say that he's been inappropriate with them. He has sexually harassed them. There's an audio recording that came out during the election where he said that he doesn't even ask. He just grabs women by the pussy and they let you if you're a celebrity. But I will say that he doesn't only ever believe men, although he does love to believe men. Roger Ailes, Bill O'Reilly, Brett Kavanaugh, Roy Moore. But if it doesn't politically benefit him, he does tend to believe the women. So when it came to Al Franken and especially Bill Clinton, so I don't know if you remember, but there was the debate where Trump invited all of the women who had made allegations against Bill Clinton. And
yes.
So, it's not as though he doesn't ever believe women. He just believes women when it politically suits him.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I mean, he's a gross individual. We know that. We know he has slept with a porn star. Not in any way is that the thing that makes him gross. The gross part is that his wife had just had a baby. And he paid her $130,000 to hush it up so that it wouldn't make an impact on his campaign. Like, those are the gross things. The fact that he was joking around about touching women on their private parts as, just something he can do as a celebrity. Those are the things that are gross. I'm not saying he's gross because I would never judge someone for being a porn star. You do you. I'm not here to yuck your yum. So that was a big one for me where I was just like, really? Are we going to say that that's you get a pass because the American people kind of elected you? You got 200 and you got 300 electoral votes and somehow that makes you innocent. I don't think it does.
Well, and it's hard for us as women to hear another woman validating a sexual predator.
Yeah. And it's like the way she says it, it's not even a real, it's just so dismissive. It's an eye roll and we've dealt with this before. Obviously it's not true. That sort of, the way that you casually, it's not even, the thing about this one is it's almost not a lie but it's so gross the way that she's just like, oh, we've already dealt with this. The American people have spoken. And it's like, well, but did they? I mean, how long did the birther stuff go on, even though the American people had elected Barack Obama?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's gross. And it's hard when she's supposedly has these Christian values. And it's like, this is who you're lying in bed with. Not technically, but you know what I mean? Like, this is who you've chosen to represent.
Yeah.
Is this person. So I'm already getting just like depressed, like going through this. But I have my last one.
Okay. What's your last one?
Okay. My last one is when she defended Trump accusing Obama of wiretapping him. Do you remember this?
I do remember this. I remember the comment that he made, which I think was a tweet.
Yes, it was a tweet.
And yeah.
Yeah, he had tweeted out that, how low has President Obama gone to tap my phones during the very sacred election process? This is Nixon Watergate bad or sick guy. That's a really great tweet, by the way. So she said, everybody acts like President Trump is the one that came up with this idea and just threw it out there. There are multiple news outlets that have reported this.
Is that true?
Depends on how you look at the truth. So going back and reading, so I watched this. There's a great PolitiFact roundup about this one. And it says why the White House defense of Trump wiretap accusation is misleading. And it kind of goes through what happened. And one of the things on here is there is a 10-minute like YouTube video of her in an interview.
Yeah.
With Martha Raddatz. And she really pushed back on her. I watched it and it was really good, but it reminded me, so a couple of things. So this was really the first time that the public was really shocked that like he was tweeting something that could possibly be classified information. And they talked about that, like, well, is he tweeting classified information? And she was like, no, he's not. He's not. He's just stating a fact. And I kind of started thinking about it. So these rumors started with a Breitbart article.
Well, I mean, that's one of the best places to get your news, Beth. What's the problem?
So what happened is this Breitbart article got put out by Mark Levin, and then these other like conservative networks started picking it up. And then it was reported on by the New York Times and the BBC. But I think it was more of a response of like, more of like a, hey, this is what's going on type of thing. And it's funny to me that they were like pushing that the New York Times was the ones that were reporting on it because, again, they call them the failing New York Times. So like that's your, like it, when it suits you, it's a good outlet. When it doesn't suit you, it's not.
That's right.
But okay, now this is a little bit of conspiracy theory time, but I have a conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Because looking back on it now, I mean, this really seems like a smoke and mirror situation. And maybe I should say it was a Smokey Eyes and Black Mirror situation.
That's great.
Who was involved. But I wonder if the president hadn't found out about the wiretaps on the people being investigated that were in his circle, and they found a way to spin it before that information came out.
No, I feel like I remember when this happened, and that was kind of what happened, is he found out that there was a wiretap on his team by the FBI. This is true. This is not a conspiracy theory. I do remember this. I'm having to rack my brain to remember exactly.
No, that part is true. No, that is true. It is true that there was a wiretap on some of his associates, and that's why it was recording some of the conversations in Trump Tower. That is true. Okay. What I'm saying is my theory is that he found out about that wiretap And in order to get in front of it, they invented a better reason for them. They were spinning it like that, oh, Obama was wiretapping me. And isn't that gross and wrong? And he shouldn't have done that. When they knew all along that wasn't what it was about. So at the time,
Probably.
Steve Bannon was working in the White House still. So all he would have had to do is call Mark Levine and say, hey, put out this story through Breitbart and Viola, a reason to look the other way as to why these wiretaps were around Trump. And it's making Trump a victim, not Trump consorting with criminals. Are you crying?
A little bit.
Doesn't that sound like super fucking plausible? Like,
I mean, maybe. I don't know that they're smart enough for that, but maybe.
Steve Bannon is. What, like him or not, he's a smart guy.
Oh, no, I know he's a smart guy. I don't like him. I don't like him. I don't like that he's a smart guy. I like that he's no longer there because they were getting a lot of really crazy shit done when he was there.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to tell you my final one.
Okay.
And I think it's really great. And I think that it's a good closer.
Okay.
Because it might be one of the biggest lies she has ever told. So Sarah Sanders was pressed about how Donald Trump might be anti-Semitic or racist.
Oh.
And this is one of the times when I think it was Jim Acosta who pressed her, who asked her for the question, or he was the person who, this was the conversation where one person asked it in the press junket and then she wouldn't answer. And so the second journalist was like, I'd like to re-ask my colleague's question.
Oh,
and that was one of the first times it was the first time that had ever happened. And she made a statement saying, the president has been incredibly clear and consistently and repeatedly condemned hatred, bigotry, racism in all of its forms, whether it's in America or anywhere else. And to say otherwise is simply untrue. I mean, sit with it for a second. He's condemned racism, hatred, and bigotry in all of its forms throughout the world.
Right. Remember he posted that picture of him giving a thumbs up over a taco shell salad?
Yes, but it was still...
Did you not get that?
Oh, but I mean, I was so inundated with the Mexicans are rapists. I mean, some are good people, but
I think, didn't he say something like, I love the Mexicans or something like, with that tweet? I mean, it was so bad.
I can't. I mean, I just want to point out, here are some things that just off the top of my head, I thought about after I found this quote. I thought about, remember when he called all those countries shithole countries?
Yeah, I do remember
because they have brown people in them.
Right.
Remember when he called Mexicans rapists at his first announcement of running for president? That was wild. And people were like, I'm still here for this. Remember when he didn't denounce white supremacy any of the fucking times he didn't denounce white supremacy? Remember when it took him a really long time to be like, yeah, I don't like David Duke after he came out and endorsed him for president? Remember when Puerto Rico was hit by a massive hurricane and thousands of people died, and Donald Trump said that the reason that they still have no power or anything done is because they're grossly incompetent after he went and threw fucking paper towels to people?
Yes.
Remember when he incited hate against the press by saying that the press is our fucking enemy? Do you remember that?
I do remember all this stuff.
I mean, those are just like off the top of my head. That doesn't even include calling people names. You know, the Pocahontas, what does he call Joe? Is it Sleepy Joe?
Yeah.
And, you know, the crazy low IQ Mika. And it just, he never stops. He never stops with the name calling. And you can't go around saying that he's condemning hatred and bigotry and racism when he literally embodies all of those things.
Right. I think you're right. That is her biggest lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know what to do with her. I'm glad that she's gone, because the thing I think that made her more palatable was that she was a woman and she was a mother.
Yes.
And I think people knew she was lying, but gave her more of a pass than she ever deserved. Because when you look at these are just 6 lies.
Right.
This doesn't encompass her whole genre or her, her entire career as press secretary.
And oh my God, if it did, we would be on the floor crying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to get to our jam of the week so that we can get to something that is much better than this?
Well, really quick.
Yeah.
Just wanted to note, since she is leaving the White House as press secretary, a lot of people are speculating that she's going to run for governor of Arkansas.
Yeah.
So
we have a sideways promotion.
Yeah, we have not seen the last of her. We've just seen the last of her at that podium.
Right. But don't think that Trump won't be stumping for her if she does this.
Oh, yeah. No, he loves her. He's very much on her side.
Yeah.
So, and she's not even 40 yet. I mean, she's young. She's got a big career ahead of her. So hopefully she finds somebody to work for whose values she believes in, that doesn't, make her have to stoop down and lie all the time. Feel bad for her that she made that decision.
I don't.
Yeah, no,
I think she's been making that decision for a really long time.
No, I feel bad for us that she made that decision.
Yeah, I think that's a better.
Yeah, and I feel bad for us that Mitch McConnell has made that decision, and Lindsey Graham, and pretty much all of the Republicans in the Congress.
Oh, yeah, it's all of them. They might be among the worst, but they're not.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been terrible, terrible ones that have come before her, and I'm sure there will be terrible ones after her.
I also just want to say really quick, did you see the thing about Mick Mulvaney coughing during Trump's interview in the White House, and he got all mad at him?
Yeah.
I just want to point out that whenever you cough on the podcast, I don't get mad at you and make you leave.
No, you don't. But we're not in the same room. So, I mean, he is a germaphobe. So there is so much of me that just wants to have people start showing up to his rallies.
Yeah.
And coughing and sneezing the whole way through, and just really throwing him off his game, because I don't think he would stand there for 2 hours and talk if there were visibly
like a row
sick
of coughers.
Yeah, I mean, I would just come early and stand in line and just troll that motherfucker to the end of the earth. So if anybody wants to do that,
oh my
I mean, if you're not sick, maybe use makeup.
Allergies, just some hay fever, just take a big chunk of alfalfa with you and hold it into your nose.
Yeah, I mean, do whatever you need to do, but I'm serious. I think that you could really throw him off on a grassroots level just by showing up at those rallies and getting there first and coughing and sneezing and blowing your nose. Oh, you could do some really gross stuff and really throw him off.
That is an amazing idea. I love it.
I'm just saying.
All right, so let's get to our jams, and I think it's your turn to go first.
It is. So I was thinking in terms of, I'm getting ready to go on vacation for a few days, and I think we could all use some nice, strong female positive role models. So I chose a book that's from some of our favorite podcast co-hosts. Mm-hmm. The book Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered, The Definitive How-To Guide by Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark from the My Favorite Murder podcast.
So you've actually read it already? Have you read it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I got it the day it came out. I think I made it to the second day after, because I think I was reading something when it first came out. But yeah, I loved it. It was phenomenal. I think I went through it in a day and a half, and it's one of the ones that I think I might actually listen to again.
Oh, really?
Just because it's really, I cried multiple times.
Oh, wow. Okay, could you listen to it when I'm in the room and then I could hear it too?
Yeah. I would go to the library. They have audiobooks and they have the regular books, but I definitely recommend this one. I think it's a good fast read. It's not like it's super taxing for your brain or anything. It's just there's a lot of emotional stuff. There at one point Karen does a short little thing that I think I'm going to remember forever, which is like a defense of a 13-year-old girl. And it was a talk she went to, but then she talks about this talk, and she's talking about how incredibly hard it is to be a 13-year-old girl. And it brought me back to that place. And I was like, oh my God, you're very, very correct. It really is truly awful to be a 13-year-old girl.
Yes.
And everyone fucking hates you.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you hate everyone too. So
yeah, those things are all true. Yeah. And the person that you hate the most is yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And your mom.
Yeah. Because she doesn't get it.
She was never a 13-year-old girl. She has no idea.
She doesn't understand how mature you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, she just really doesn't get it.
No.
But anyway, the whole
awesome.
book is kind of along that vein. It's not necessarily about murder stories. There's a couple that they bring up, but for the most part, it's just about their lives and how inept you don't have to be perfect to get success, and how just I like that idea of accept your imperfectness and just do what you want to do. Just never stop working for it.
Nice. Except for don't do it in bad ways.
That's
like
right.
we discussed earlier.
That's
you can work for what you want, but you don't just, print out the diploma.
That's right.
Okay, I have a double jam, if you'll indulge me.
I will,
because
absolutely.
I forgot to bring this up in the episode, and you cannot miss this. There is a bad lip reading of Sarah Sanders and the White House reporters.
Oh my God. I love bad lip reading.
I love bad lip readings, and I was dying laughing watching this one. It is amazing. I gave you the link. Just go watch it. But my actual jam of the week is the Hall & Oates song, She's Gone.
Oh, that's the best.
And I think it speaks for itself.
It does. It does.
I don't know if I have to say anything else, but She's Gone. It is a good song.
It is a good song.
I do like it. I had so many options to pick from. I started out with Sarah Smiles, but really, does she? No.
I could see how you got to She's Gone from Sarah Smiles.
Yeah, I got to She's Gone from Sarah Smiles, but then I also thought about Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by the Platters, or Tears of a Clown by Smokey Robinson. There was just so many.
Yes.
It's almost like a mirage of jams that I just have to get into one. But
yes.
So anyway, that is my jam of the week. Go listen to the bad lip reading. It is amazing.
Yes, and I will put it up on the blog, but you know what? I might just separate that one out and also just put it on the Facebook page as its own separate things as a teaser for this episode.
That would be amazing. Look for that. Yes. And then you can listen to She's Gone when you're laughing and crying about who they replaced her with.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, lady. Well, you are coming up on a vacation.
I am, and
So are we going to
coming up on a vacation too, aren't you?
Yeah, just a small one. So we will be back in 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah. Yes.
I think
that's fair. I think it's 2 to 4 weeks as well.
Yeah. It might be 2 weeks, but it might be 3, and it might be 4.
Might be. Enjoy your summer. Get out and enjoy the sunshine.
Yes.
Before the sun roasts us all to death.
Before climate change, which is real.
Yes.
I'm sure if you look, you'll find where Sarah Sanders has told you that climate change is not real. But it is. All right, guys. Well, until next time, don't forget, spread jam.
Not lies.
Oh, wait. We can't leave yet.
Oh, no. We didn't do our plugs.
That's right. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter. Twigger? That's a new one. Facebook and Twitter at Podcast Fake News, or you can email us at podcastfakenews@gmail.com, or you can check out our blog at podcastfakenews.com.
Yes.
Yes.
Especially that last one, podcastfakenews.com. Go to our blog and go check out the episode guides because they have all of the sources that we use for everything we talked about today. Plus, we'll have videos and we'll have our links to our jams of the week. And so now,
don't forget, spread jam,
not
not
lies.
lies.